Good morning, folks. Good afternoon, good evening, when or wherever you may be. Welcome to my stream. Today, we are going to be talking about some news from a European perspective. We are going to talk a bit about some stuff that has also been going on, and I'm going to try to make it clear so that everyone understands. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is that I was going to record more videos to put in the channel, but unfortunately I have some events in my private life that in working life that did not allow me to do so. This is the first thing I'm going to have to say. Next, I'm going to address some things that have been happening in channels that me and a lot of you that subscribe to my channel also visit, and about people that we know. Now, this has to do with bullying and with the limits the limits of satire and of being ironic and of making fun of people, whatever you want to call it. I think it's very important to make sure that we don't transform a satire into an offense or into a tool that will allow us to attack other people and mask it as some kind of satire. Okay, this is very important because you need to have clear boundaries on things, and you need to understand that there are certain sayings you should not say and certain actions you should not do. I have been very candid about my own private history. I've talked about suffering bullying. I've talked about all of that. Okay, so I understand how it feels to be to be the person that is being bullied. Okay, and how you end bullying and whatever you have to do. Now, this is directed, if he is listening, to Solar the Cat, if he is watching my video, and I will tell you this: stick to your videos about politicians, about making fun of politicians and making fun of current events, because whenever you pass that threshold and try to battle people using your channel to make funny videos about them, that is not correct. As I told you when you started your entire campaign against All Shorts, I told you to talk with All Shorts, clear things out, and if he doesn't like to be marked in that way, don't do it. But you continue to progress, my friend. Okay, and it's and you were a funny person, okay? But then you start to progress to this entire uh, concerted attack on people, and now you did what you did to Viper Scott and to L. And my friend, that is just not right. And look, this is the last time I will talk with you about these things. If you want to make videos mocking of me, well, if you are going to make AI videos, I advise you to be careful, okay? Because it's a crime in the European Union, and the United Kingdom has judicial agreements with Portugal, okay? So I will not hesitate to denounce you to the authorities. All it takes is a simple click in my computer, okay? It's rather simple to do so, and then you will have to endure the consequences of your actions. This is the only thing I'm going to tell you. So keep me out of your shit. And this is the last time I'm going to address to you directly. This is all I have to tell you, okay? Now, L, Viper Scott, Billy, everyone that was harassed by this person, I will advise you to do this: complain, report whenever he tries to bully you, to try to make videos to make fun of you, and then cut him off, because this is what I do also. Okay, I cut off people. I don't care about what they say about me. I don't care about what they imagine or try to imagine about me. I don't care if they like what I do or the way I live or the way I speak or whatever. Alright? This is what I do. And you also have to understand is that hello Billy Kershaw, welcome my friend. And this is something that you need to know is that the purpose of a bully is to try and attack you, try to hit you where it hurts. In my case, they try to hit me on my ethnicity. They try to hit me because I have always been fat, chubby, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I have always have issues controlling my weight. They try to attack you because they know they can hurt you and they can get a response from you. And what? Yes, yes, Bill. Yes, Bill. And in if you then go back to the beginning of my chat of my sorry of my stream, you will see that I addressed him directly, and I told him what I needed to tell. Now, I want to advise you, just ignore them. Okay, this is the only way to deal with these type of people. They make a video about you, you report him. Okay, you go to the authorities if it's needed. Like I told in the beginning of the stream, this is what I will do. At least around here in Europe, it is absolutely forbidden to make a mock AI video using your face and whatever. Okay, that is absolutely forgiven. Sorry, absolutely forbade. So complain. Okay, complain. This is the only way, and cut these people off, because you know. Remember when Merce said, "Ignore the troll," when he was talking about Elon Musk? Well, this is what you should do. And I know it's hurtful. I know you get nervous. Who wouldn't? Okay, but this is all I'm going to say about this. I'm not going to talk anymore about this for now. Now I'm going to focus on my stream and on the subjects that I have decided to bring here and talk with you. So, this is all done now. So let's start with our stream. Now, the first news as I'm going to talk with you about today in the afternoon this afternoon, it's about something that is very worrisome for all of us that are enduring this heat wave right now. I'm also enduring it here in Portugal, and it's called about the effect of El Nino. Okay, these news they will be available after the stream. I will edit the stream and post them, and they are available at Euronews, because today, like in the previous stream, I decided to just use Euronews because it's simply easier, because their news are much more clearer. I advise you to subscribe to them, and just more clear and more to the point, without too many ideas and opinions. Okay, so without further ado, let's watch the first video.
In the next 5 years, Earth is overwhelmingly likely to surge again and again past the international climate threshold set as safe and shatter its hottest year record along the way, according to new United Nations climate projections. The World Meteorological Organization (WMO) and the UK's Meteorological Office say there's a 70% chance that the average global temperature between 2026 and 2030 will exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius since pre-industrial times. There's a 91% chance that at least one of the next 5 years will shoot past the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold, and an 86% chance that one of those years will smash the record for Earth's hottest year set in 2024, the WMO report warns. Nearly all the shorter term forecasts call for a strong El Nino, a natural warming of parts of the central Pacific that alters weather worldwide and spikes global temperatures, to form soon. The WMO report says it could stretch all the way to 2028.
Right. No. Uh, I have heard a lot of experts talking about this El Nino effect around here, and to tell you the truth, man, it's really worrisome. But we also can predict more or less what effects it will have on our lives, what effects it will have on our on the places in which we live, and this is also it's a look. It's This is the planet telling us you have made so much shit that now this is going to become permanent. And my fear is that people really don't understand how much this can affect us. Okay, because people, when they hear about climate change or global warming or whatever, they think about, I don't know, milder winters and hotter summers, and some of them even say, "Oh, great, hotter summers, I can go to the beach and whatever." But no, what will kill us in this global in this global event, it's the extreme events. It's extreme heat, like we are having now. Okay, I'm being completely honest with you. When I receive my next pay, man, I'm going to buy a portable AC unit. They're not that expensive, but they are also not cheap. Okay, but I'm going to buy one because even a person like me, I hate summer, but I got used to it. Of course, I have lived in Portugal. We have scorching summers, but even a person like me, okay, we are getting sick with the heat. And it's the worst, especially during the night, because you cannot rest. You have trouble breathing and all of that. Okay, and some the fans are too noisy, whatever. But even I'm telling you this, I'm going to do that. I'm going to buy a portable AC unit, 100 euros or whatever it costs. I don't recall right now, and I'm going to put one at least in my bedroom so I can rest at night. Not during the day, because during the day it's a bit different. Okay, during the day you do something, or I don't know, you go to the park and sit under a tree, or go to the beach, or drink something fresh, and it's different. But when it comes to the nighttime, it's the worst. But people still have not understood that these extreme events are going to happen, and thousands, if not millions of people will die. And this will also, of course, dislocate populations, because there are areas in our country, in our planet, that will now no longer be possible to be inhabited. And then there are the other effects. Like, for example, if the Gulf Stream stops, and it has stopped already, okay? It has been interrupted for a couple of days. The scientists here in Portugal, they registered they recorded it, okay? They spoke about it, and conveniently or not conveniently, 2 days last, it wasn't, I think it was last year, 2 days after it happened in the last winter, they had an emergency cabinet meeting right here. The president, he called upon the experts and everyone, and he was talking with them. So that does not happen just because, okay? And if the Gulf Stream stops, you have to understand this. Portugal, Lisbon, it's at the same latitude as New York. London is at the same latitude as as the northern part of Yukon or something like that. This means that we can be faced with a situation in which we will have scorching summers and freezing winters. And this will absolutely devastate the entire farming production of Western Europe and of the United States also. And if you are curious enough, go and watch a map or something and see where the main farming production areas in our entire country are, where you produce most of your grain, of your vegetables, of your fruit, of your cattle. This would mean this if this continues this way, this will mean starvation. Starvation at a global level. And with starvation, dislocation of populations, war, famine, disease, all of this. If we look at COVID, COVID is a symptom of global change also because people are more susceptible to diseases. If you are living in an environment that is tainted with pollution or with instability, you are more prone to have diseases, to have health issues, to have immune system issues, and all of these issues that have been growing steadily. And a couple of years ago, you could blame this on, oh, it's because we are living in cities, we are not living in the countryside anymore, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. But the issue here is that if that's also a factor that contributes to a lower immune system, kids not going out to play, okay, and rolling in the dirt and playing with bugs and all of that, that contributes also to this issue. But the changing weather patterns, extreme heat, extreme cold, okay, lack extreme drought, extreme rain, all of this also contributes to people having a higher level of diseases. Look, if you go back into the ancient times and you look where the main civilizations were born, in China, in the Middle East, later on in Europe, in parts of Africa also, let's not forget that, and in the Americas, you will see those civilizations grew in areas where you did had to prepare for seasons, but where you had some kind of stability. In Egypt, you would have the flooding of the Nile. People learned how to predict the flooding of the Nile, just like in the Middle East, where they learned to predict the flooding of the two rivers of the Tigris and Euphrates. Okay, they learned all of that, and but they had some kind of stability in order to be able to predict that, and that created civilization. Okay, needing to have an organization system behind it, needing to have people to work in the fields, needing to know how to farm this or that grain that would be more suitable to the place where you were, to use this or that cattle. And all of this entanglement created all that came afterwards. It created writing, it created science, it also created war, unfortunately, okay? But it created the entire entanglement of what a civilization is. And if we have a global event at this level, you are going to be removing the base of our civilization, which is farming and having a predictable pattern of weather. This is going to completely total that. And you will have, I don't know, but you and I that are in this stream right now, okay, we will probably not be here when the real events start. But the ones that are coming after us, they are going to suffer this. Okay, your children, the children of your children, and it if look, like I always say, and I often say this in my videos, We either evolve or we grow extinct. It's as simple as this. And I think a lot of people don't think about that. And it's getting worried. I'm getting worried with this banalization of global events, and allowing people that say that they don't believe in climate change and all of that, when it's bloody scientifically proven that it exists. All right, it exists. You cannot deny it. Okay, I'm 50, for God's sake, and I have seen it over my years. We used to have 1 year of drought, and then 6, 7, 8 years absolutely normal. Right now, I can tell you, we have about 3 years normal, and then we have a more serious drought. We have the heat waves that we are having right now, that we used to have in August. We are having it in May, and this, instead of happening once in a decade or something like that, it's happening almost every 3 years. We are having more vicious fires. Look, I see it. And in the winter, sometimes we have winters that are too cold for the coast. And we have been experiencing that here in Portugal. And so I would tell you that I would make it a civil a crime to speak against climate change. You want to know why? Because your free speech does not allow you to propagate lies. Climate change is happening. Deal with it. Okay? Now, let's go to the next video. And this one is a video that gives me a particular pleasure to see what Ukraine has just done to the United States. Let's watch.
Ukraine plans to buy up to 20 fighter jets, while Sweden will donate 16 older models to boost its air defense, the two countries said on Thursday. The announcement was made during a surprise visit by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Zelensky said the combat aircraft will be especially helpful in stopping Russian planes that launch powerful glide bombs at Ukraine.
These jets, Gripens, with specific weapons, especially meteors, missiles, and etc., which can destroy 200 kilometers plus. So we think that we will push out these jets, Russian jets, and they will not be able to use massively aerial bombs.
Meanwhile, Sweden's Prime Minister says the country wants to learn from Ukraine's cutting-edge drone expertise.
I mean, Ukraine right now has the most advanced capacity to deal with drone wars in Europe. And we are extremely eager to learn from Ukraine.
The 16 donated aircraft will be delivered in early 2027, Christensen said. Ukraine plans to allocate 2.5 billion euros from an EU loan for the new aircraft. This is Sweden's 22nd military aid package to Ukraine, worth a total of 2.3 billion euros, Sweden said.
Right. This is extremely important because you see, in the years before, because this bloody war has been lasting for years. In the years before, Ukraine, when it needed airplanes and Europe provided them to them, they used to get the old American F-35 or 34, whatever they are. Okay, these are the types of planes that were being supplied to Ukraine. And even if they are fit for purpose, they are no match for a modern Russian jet. And to have Griffins that are much more stable and much more, how can you say, they are type of jets that you can use for much more than simply to serve as an air deterrent. Okay, you can use it for bombing, you can use it for everything. and they are European made. And this makes a complete change in the entire pattern, okay? Because this way, number one, we are not paying into the American industrial military complex. And number two, we are able to produce in-house in Europe all the weapons that we need and supply them to Ukraine. And I think, look, a lot of people don't like me when I say this, but we should have had boots on the ground for a long time. Okay? And if Putin wants to threaten us with nuclear weapons, well, Europe also has nuclear weapons. So let's see who pulls the trigger first. And I know people don't like me when I say that, so warmonger and whatever, but no, we need to take a harder stance on this thing. Okay, we cannot. Have you seen what has been happening in Ukraine lately? The Russians are dropping everything in the kitchen sink over Ukraine. They're desperate. Sorry. Hello, person impersonator. Welcome. They are dropping everything over Ukraine. Okay, they are killing civilians. They are attacking buildings. They are attacking whatever they can. Because Ukraine has been bombing the hell out of their energy grid. Putin knows that most probably, this is a probability, they will not be able to withstand another winter of war against Ukraine. Because this last winter, they had a lot of issues. Had a lot of problems, okay? If you, I think I talked about this in a couple of videos, and you saw utilities literally exploding in Russia. You saw rivers of shit in Moscow. We saw all of that, okay? Because the utilities, they are simply not being able to withstand it. The Russian economy is on its knees. It's completely destroyed. And people think that, oh, China will give them all that what they need and this and that. My friends, China is there to make a business. North Korea, they are there to make business. No one is giving anything for free to Russia. We don't even know what price the Russians are paying to have this. Oh, they are supplying oil to China. Okay. Go and check how much oil in its strategic reserve China has, and they have not released one single barrel with all this shit in the Hormuz Strait. We need weapons that are produced inside of Europe, and we need to use them now, and we need to provide them to Ukraine. Look, with all this, I'm going to be talking about this also here in the stream about the drone that hit that building, that apartment building in Romania. With all that is happening right now, I think they are really pondering a military intervention, at least to protect Western Ukraine, create an on-flight zone or something like that. And I think that right now, if Europe does that, Russia is going to threaten a lot. They are going to scream and shout, but they are going to shut up and and bite the bullet. You want to know why? Because they know they have no capability of doing it. They have no capability of stopping them right now. This entire spiel, by moving nukes to Belarus and making the people in Belarus extremely nervous. Okay, Lukashenko is a puppet, but uh, not a real puppet. Okay, he's a puppet because he wants to be a puppet. Okay, because Putin provides him with the means that he needs to keep his power. If Putin starts to become a hassle instead of an asset, I am pretty sure that knowing Lukashenko and knowing how how ruthless he is, Lukashenko will simply drop him and try, and he will even sell himself to Europe in order to keep this power, or at least keep the ability of not not getting assassinated or imprisoned for being a dictator in Belarus for so long. Exactly, person impersonator. You watch the updates just like I do. Yes, yes. Helplessness. Yes, the Russian people, uh, look, I'm not going to sit here and say the Russian people are innocent after all that, after them supporting Putin. But to a degree, I also see that the average Russian person cannot do anything. Okay, they are really helpless. Okay, they cannot do anything, and I would not, I don't know, advise, not advise. I would not support any kind of brutal attack on the Russian people because they are not to blame for this shit. Okay, they are not to blame for the way Putin are. They are to blame for putting him there and for not seeing the threat that it was and not taking in the benefits of a democracy that was always a bit shaky. Let's be honest about it. But more than that, no. And I don't think the Ukrainian people also want that. The Ukrainians want the Russians to get out of their country and leave them alone. Okay? This is only natural. But now, folks, now I'm going to show you a video about something that Kachakalas, the EU representative, said about the attempts of Putin of saying that he wants a mediator. You don't know his his latest spiel, his latest move. He wants to have peace, and he wants an independent referee to negotiate peace with Ukraine, and he doesn't want to negotiate with Ukraine because he doesn't recognize Ukraine as a sovereign state, but he wants to negotiate with Europe, and he even suggests some names like Schroeder, the former German chancellor that got arrested. I don't know how the case panned out because he was receiving money from Russian companies. Okay, so a nice guy. I The guy was a complete and utter. I don't even want to talk about it. Okay, because I don't know how his case file is in court or how it ended, so I'm not going to talk about it. But this is a very important video for you to see with me because this video to me it shows the position of Europe on this matter. Let's watch.
The European Union will not seek to mediate between Ukraine and Russia, nor attempt to replace the United States in the peace process. EU High Representative Kaja Kallas has wanted to put an end to the ongoing debate on whether the bloc should appoint a special envoy after an informal meeting of EU foreign affairs ministers in Cyprus on Thursday.
One thing is very clear. Europe will never be a neutral mediator between Russia and Ukraine because we are on Ukraine's side and we are defending our own core security interests.
The peace negotiations led by the US have been frozen since the start of the conflict in the Middle East. Kiev has publicly called on Europeans to adopt a hands-on approach. But member states are divided. Earlier this year, French President Emmanuel Macron and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni publicly called on the bloc to change policy, arguing the fate of European security could not be left in American hands. The European Commission and the European Council President noted that direct talks would only make sense once the Kremlin showed willingness to compromise and make concessions. Brussels is keen to avoid creating the impression that it is attempting to replace Washington, which might give the US president a reason to walk away for good.
Now, the first thing I'm going to address is the final conclusion of this piece, with which I don't agree. And I'm going to explain it to you. Number one, Putin knows that he cannot milk any more out of the USA and out of his control of President Trump, because President Trump no longer has the ability to blackmail and to attack Europe. At least not right now. Because you see, he was using Trump as a convenient fool to allow him to continue to keep Europe down, so to speak, okay? To continue to try to weaken the alliances in Europe and to try to use Orban also and a couple of more like Fico. But Fico is a different story that we need to separate from Orban. And he was using Putin was using Trump as a way of weakening Europe. And right now, what does Putin say? See, he sees Europe rearming at an alarming rate to him, of course. He's seeing the United States losing their ability to dictate what European countries should do. We see it right now, okay? Even little Portugal dumped the American jets and now is buying European jets. He knows that we have the SAFE agreement. He knows that a lot of countries, like for example the countries up north in Scandinavia, in the northern countries, including Finland, Poland, Germany, that is now the world's largest producer of ammunitions. Let's not forget that. That's a funny one also. He's seeing all of this. And he knows that he can no longer use Trump to make pressure over Europe. And he knows that Europe is on the side of Ukraine completely. Why would he want to negotiate directly with Europe instead of continuing to use his little puppet in the White House? Because this way he would be able to question and to criticize and to say, look, Europe, you're giving weapons to Ukraine, you are helping them. Okay, you cannot negotiate. We cannot negotiate this way and that and that. And then he would be able to continue the same spiel that he has been doing all of these years using the United States and Europe here. Okay, they are being smart because they are telling Putin, no, no, no. You want to have some serious discussions about what is going to happen? Okay, then number one, ceasefire. Immediately stop all hostilities. Number two, we are going to sit down at the table and Ukraine is going to be there because this is their country, their business. Because this is something that people fail to understand. All of this time, Europe has always said, the European countries, the EU and the UK, let's include the UK also in this because it's important. We know how much the UK has been helping Ukraine with weapons, with money. Okay? And I want to reinforce this when I say Europe. Okay? What Europe has always been saying is Ukraine has a right to defend itself. We are going to give them weapons. And the only reason why we are not intervening is because of this conflict between NATO and Russia. Because of the nuclear problem, because all of these things that we have been seeing over the years, and that now I am telling you, like I said when we were talking about the other part of the video, that Europe should be more interventive in this matter, okay? We should have people there. And if you think this makes me happy, it doesn't, okay? Because I have two nephews that are at an age to be enlisted in the army, okay? I'm not talking out of my ass. Okay, I even and to tell you the truth, if it came to that, and if I was able to do that, I would be the first person to enlist myself. Hi, the witch you got. Welcome. But the key issue here is there's this spiel of Putin. he wants to try to weaken Europe. Okay? He tries to weaken Europe. He wants to put us in a position where he can say this, like I was telling you right now, okay? Oh, you are negotiating with us and you are supplying weapons to Ukraine and you are doing this and you are doing that and whatever. Okay, this is not serious negotiations. And what Kachakala said right now, okay, and this is very important, she's basically telling him, no, 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 my little Russian dwarf, no, we are not going to play that game. You want to negotiate, you want to negotiate, because your little orange puppet is decaying at such a speed that you won't be able. How do I think the NATO will respond to the bombing in Romania, the which he got? To tell you the truth, I really don't know. I'm going to talk about it when we watch some videos here during this stream. But to tell you the truth, you have a lot of answers brewing inside of Europe. And I have even heard them talking about the non-flight zone in Ukraine, at least in Western Ukraine. And Putin is absolutely terrified. But let me just conclude this. What you have to see here is not the perspective of this video when they are talking with, oh, they didn't want to make Mr. Trump angry because they are replacing him in the negotiating table and this and that. No, 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 no. This is we have an expression here in Portugal, which is to deixar alguém com o limão na mão. This means let someone keep the lemon in his hand. You know, with the tab. Europe wants the United States to pay that tab for this shit. They want to keep Trump on the table, paying for all the shit that he's been doing. This is what we want. And we are telling Russia, you want to end this shit? You want to end this complete and not invasion of Ukraine? You want to stop this killing? Okay, then you come to negotiate with us. But you are not going to choose any neutral referee, and you are going to negotiate with Ukraine. We are willing to sit at the table with Ukraine, but you are going to negotiate with Zelensky. You are going to sit down with him, and you are going to end this shit. And you are going to fuck off across the border. Because this is the important thing, okay? Ukraine should not give any kind of territorial concessions to Russia. They could do, like I have heard here in a couple of European countries, and a lot of people, especially in Germany, they could create a demilitarized zone in the border with Russia. Okay, no issues there. No issues there, really. Create a demilitarized zone. Russia leaves, does not intervene, and no one has military stuff there. So that if this mythical NATO that wants to invade Russia, they have to pass through that militarized zone, and the crazy people in the Kremlin, if they want to try to pass the demilitarized zone, that will be considered an act of war, and NATO will activate the Article 6. Do you understand? Have I made myself clear? This is the reason, okay? This is the reason why Europe has told them to fuck off. Because they are trying to make us into the new overlord, to try to play with us like they have been playing with that idiot from Washington that is painting that is painting reflecting pools with metal paint. Okay, I'm not going to be talking about him. Now, I have another video here for us to see, and this is about my own country. Okay, if you don't, and I'm using this video to show people that we are not a perfect country. But around here, people that mess around with bribes and donations, they get arrested. Let's watch.
The Portuguese judicial police carried out several arrests on Thursday and named more than 30 suspects as part of an operation focused on an alleged kickback scheme linked to the Socialist Party's local government in Lisbon. The investigation involves suspicions of malfeasance and financial interest in business dealings, specifically regarding the awarding of various contracts by municipal councils and parish councils, totaling nearly 2 million euros. Among those targeted are Mayor Miguel Coelho, a key figure in the party in Lisbon, and Duarte Moral, a former advisor to ex-Prime Minister Antonio Costa and also close to the current socialist leader. The Socialist Party Secretary General has already responded, confirming that the headquarters was searched, but that the party was not a target of the investigation. José Luis Carneiro assured that he will do everything to ensure that the rule of law is upheld.
Now, let me explain this to you. The Socialist Party here in Portugal is one of the big parties around here and one of the oldest one. You would call them probably, you would call him Labour in the UK, just to, but real socialism. And this party with Antonio Costa, they held power for a long time, okay? Up until the previous government, they were in power. They are a very influential party. They are on the left, but they are moderated, which means they you could call them center left, so to speak, and they are very entrenched in the entire country. They are one of the big parties, along with the PSD, the Social Democrats, and a couple of more, and now Chega, which is the Populist Party. That, to tell you the truth, it's going to come and then it's going to go. Just to be honest about it, because this happens sometimes, because we live in a PR democracy, and sometimes a party grows a lot, then they shrink. Now, these people, they were at the municipal level, meaning the councillors, as you would say in the United Kingdom, and in the capital, in Lisbon. They were giving contracts to themselves, and they thought they would not be caught. The issue here is that here, like I have told you in other videos, when I'm exemplifying why things are different here, the issue here is that they had the eyes of the tax revenue system, they had the eyes of the government, they have the eyes of the judicial system that is completely independent from the government. They have the eyes of the people in the government themselves, in the let's call it in the ministerial level, meaning these are non-elected people that work in the secretaries of state and all of that, what you would call the public offices or whatever, the public how do you call them in the United Kingdom. It's those people that are always in the ministerial cabinets that are not elected. Okay, they are working for the state and they work for whatever government comes. And also the eyes of the EU. So they did this for a long time. I don't know, I think it was about a year or two. But eventually they got caught. Hi Viper Scott, welcome my friend. And why is this? Because you see, here when the public contract is a tribute, they have to civil servants in the UK. Yes, Billy Kesher, that's right. It's the civil servants and person impersonated. Thank you very much. These are people that they are always there, and when a new government comes in, they will appoint a minister, and they will appoint their state secretaries. And these people will be the head of the office, so to speak, and dictate the policies. But the other people, the upper civil servants, they will already be there. They are working for the state, and they are also bound by the law. Let me be honest about this, okay? They have certain rules that they have to obey, and certain communications that they have to give the judicial, the police, all of the authorities, regardless of who the boss, so to speak, is. The minister cannot even fire these people unless there is a very hard, a very crime or something like that. Okay, let's continue. Now, there are two people here in particular, which are that mayor and his wife, and they both have companies, and that is not illegal here. The mayor, he can have companies as long as he doesn't make public contracts with those companies. And this banning also extends to his wife, to his kids, to his close family, and even to give a contract for, let's say, for example, a cousin or someone like this, he has to justify that he has no intervention in that business. Okay, he simply does not decide over it. What happens in these situations usually is that if, for example, a company that is, in this case of his wife, if one of the companies of his wife would apply to a public contract, then the mayor, he would completely remove himself from the business. He would contact the someone in the cabinet, for example, in this cabinet of the municipal system service, because they have a mini parliament, so to speak, and another person would see the contracts, see their validity, and decide. The mayor could not have any influence over that. And this guy, he decided he was smarter than the others, and now he's he's in jail, okay, and he's going to face the music. If he's innocent, he's innocent. If he's not innocent, he's not innocent. And you also have to understand this, okay? We have a prime minister that was in jail, Mr. Socrates. Of course, he still has not been proven to be either innocent or or to or defendant. Okay, he's on trial, so I won't speak a lot about that because that is not correct, at least here. But this to tell you that here anyone can be caught by the law. And this is why when I look at the United Kingdom and I see commissions this, commissions that, commissions this, commissions that, man, that pisses me off because that does not happen here. Here you have the judicial system, you have the police, they are independent. Independent. Yes. Thank you for that, Viper Sword. Okay. Sometimes the word the words miss me. Okay, these entities, they are completely independent. The tax service is independent, and all of these entities, they cross reference their what is happening. Okay, what is happening. For example, you have your banking account and suddenly you are winning, a lot of money comes in into your account. Automatically that sends an alert to the tax system, and the tax system looks into it, and if they consider there is some kind of dodgy thing going on, they start an investigation. And then the police, they have special units just to investigate that. Okay, they have units to investigate the fiscal crimes. They have units to investigate money laundering, all of that. And then they go to the court. They present their case to the court, and if a district attorney thinks this is enough to call this person in to be questioned, they do it. And this is what happened. So I will tell you this: right now, They are being questioned, and a judge will decide what happens to them. What type of, well, if they are going to stay, for example, in a preventive jail time, if they are going to be if they are going to be remanded to freedom without any kind of measures. We call them medidas de coação. This means preventive measures, so to speak, and they can go from not being able to leave the country, and you have to deliver your documents and all of that, to daily presentations or weekly presentations at the police in your area. In this case, almost certainly not being able to do your job, for example, as the town's mayor or whatever, and all of that. Things work here. I keep telling this to people, and look, the national sport is to question everything, but the police service is here, especially they work well. Okay, people are competent. Sometimes they lack the means, but they do what they do with the little they have. And it's not perfect. As you can see, these people were corrupted. But the question here is a saying like, for example, the public procurement in the United Kingdom, that could never happen here. Family members and friends of the minister that gave donations to the party and this and that. This is precisely why donations are illegal here. This message here by Viper Scott, it shows it shows a lot of what I was saying. Tories took cuts to the police tax office courts, all underfunded for 14 years. You cannot do this, okay? Money may lack for a lot of things, but for healthcare and for police and courts, it cannot. And around here, there is an issue developing in the courts because they have not hired any new public servants, and the age gap and the people are retiring, and they are going to need to hire a lot of people for this to work. But I might talk about that in another video. But I showed you this video so that you understand why sometimes when we are talking in the chat and they talk about the public, the commissions and this and that, I find it so irritating. Because what happened to the WASPy women, okay? What happened in Greenfell? What happened with the riots? All of that. That things they would not have, for example, I will tell you this. They would not have some kind of commission to dictate, to question if the words and the behavior of Mr. Farage were or not adequate. No, Mr. Farage would be sitting in a courthouse talking with a judge that would ask him, why did you say this? You said this publicly, did you not? And if it was proven that he was committing a crime, my friend, he would go through the system. And the first thing that would happen to Mr. Farage, for example, would be that he would be forbidden of using social media, and, for example, forbidden also from, if he was a counselor or an MP or whatever, to exert his position. And this is how it happens. And look, this does not just happen here in Portugal. You go across the aisle to Spain. Right now, Sanchez, the Prime Minister, he's taking a lot of heat because people in his party were taking in kickbacks. This might end his term. It might end, okay, but maybe not. You go across Spain to France, it's the same thing. You go to Germany, it's even worse. Even Italy has very strong laws about this, especially because of all of the history with the mob and with the Camorra that they have. Everyone gets rid of this. This is why parties here, they do not receive donations. Okay, if someone wants to, for example, offer their time to aid the party, all good. The party needs to, I don't know, to make a public presentation of this or that, and someone volunteers, okay, we will offer the space, you can do your thing here. That's absolutely look normal. Okay, I told you before, I also used to participate in a political party, and I would give my time to the party, okay, to talk with people, to do all of that. And more than that, if, for example, imagine this, all parties here have a summer gathering, which is a political and cultural event, meaning they gather supporters, they invite people, they have food, they have drinking, they have live shows sometimes with music and all of that. It's an absolutely normal event. But if you're going to look into the accounts of that event, you will know who supplied the wine or whatever, who supplied the food, who supplied the entertainment, all of that. And that is absolutely normal, just like it's normal, for example, for a prime minister to say that he supports, I don't know, abortion, or that he does not support abortion. This is all absolutely normal because people are entitled to have their own personal positions, and they are also entitled to give their money or give their whatever. But for example, imagine this: imagine that someone had given, I don't know, 100,000 euros to make the political party, political party's summer gathering. If the prime minister was, for example, then after that to give a public procurement to that person, that will be heavily questioned, really questioned. It wouldn't be impossible for that person that gave something to the party to get a public procurement, but that would be look. This is why they don't do it. They simply don't do it. Let me just read the comments. It should be the Viper Scott. It should be the courts, not commissions. They, the commissions, have no thief to do not anything. Yes, it's only recommendations on pitfall fines. I want jail time. And you are absolutely right. Open accounts rule. Yes, yes, Billy Kush. Very true. In the UK, person impersonated. In the UK, left-wing parties are investigating, but the far right seem to come from old money, and they get away with obvious corruption. Yes, 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 yes. Person impersonated. You're absolutely right, and this also explains a lot of the dominance of the media to be connected to all this entire system of corruption. Look, if the media is on your side and they are constantly showing Farage, people are going to vote it for him, like it or not like it, because unfortunately the UK used to have an excellent education system. The UK used to have such a good education system, and I'm talking before in the beginning of the century, that most of the European countries copied the education system of the United Kingdom. And I think it's sad. It's sad because right now I'm talking with you folks here in the chat, and you understand what I'm talking about, and you have the ability to understand that, for example, Nigel Farage is lying. But then you talk with some guy in the street, and why do you want to vote for Farage? Oh, he's an outsider. He will do this. He will do that. Why? Because the media has sold him, has sold that image of that person to the average Joe. When Farage, he's a part of the establishment. He's part of that group of people that don't want to pay taxes, that don't want to share their responsibility to society, that don't want to create all of the things that the society needs, and that have voted with their money to get the UK out of the EU, because this way the UK is much easier to be exploited. And this is why look, my friends, this UK, it needs to change. When I hear Starmer, oh, reset relationships and this and that, how can you even think about that if your own party, Mr. Starmer, is receiving so much donations from the Israeli government? Oh no, these people, they are Israelis, but they are not from the government. Okay, now light to this hand. Okay, nothing. I'm telling you. Yes, yes, person impersonated Farage, a hedge fund manager, hardly a man of the people. Yes, yes. Now, folks, now I'm going to show you another video. Let's change the subject. Let's keep this going. We are going to talk about Machu Picchu, and we are going to talk about the consequences of over tourism, of excess tourists, which is a problem that is also affecting my country, and that people here they are also fighting back. This is no joke. Let's watch.
A Global Heritage Foundation has offered to work with Peruvian authorities to improve conditions at Machu Picchu. The iconic tourist destination is a bucket list item for many, but tourists are increasingly facing more overcrowding, long queues, and unreliable transport services. In September, the foundation behind the list of the 7 world wonders warned that Machu Picchu's status as one of those wonders is at risk. Now they're offering to help.
Since then, sadly, unfortunately, but not surprisingly, due to the political quasi-paralysis in Peru, we have seen no progress. So we've come back to Lima to advance the discussions. Now that the democratic process is reaching a critical positive point, we hope, with a solution and a new leadership. And we hope to be able to work with the new leadership once it's in place to find a positive outcome for Machu Picchu as one of the new 7 wonders of the world.
The foundation said it is not currently considering stripping Machu Picchu of its Wonder of the World designation, but would like to see improvements to the site.
Right. Okay. Before I start to talk about this one, let me just read you the comments here. Viper Scott, critical thinking is gone, or not taught in schools, and most folks only hear the soundbite and are not really into politics. The turning point was the Indie referendum, 2010-2014 for Scottish folks. Yes, that's an issue. Critical thinking is look, to criticize, it's not to have critical thinking. Okay, you can criticize anything, but critical thinking in the sense that you need to understand what is happening and what is being said, and create your own opinion and see things as they are. How can people not see who Farage is? They saw him inciting people to vote in Brexit, and now they are voting in him again. Yes, Billy Cushon, a hero to many, freedom from their perceived oppression, and now they can unleash their grievances. Yes. A lot of, and instead, and Farage, if he was truly that man of the people, he will incite people to fight against the system that exists. But no, he's only fighting to keep the system as it is, because he's a wealthy bastard that wants to keep people down, that wants to keep the British citizen as a nice and well-behaved peasant that he can manipulate. This is what Farage is, okay? People, look, Farage would not last a day in the streets here. And we have demagogues and populists here. But even they know that there is a limit to which they can manipulate people. Even they. Now, this question of war terrorism, no, first I'm going to say this. Look, it's very nice of them to now come and help the people in Peru and all of that. That is very nice. But the truth is, they are doing this because they are losing money, and I'm talking about the tourist establishment. Because you want to know why, I'm going to tell you this. They are so worried about transportation, about roads and all of that, but they are not worried about those roads and those infrastructures to serve the communities that live in that place. They are worried because they want to keep on mooching money from the tourists, and they don't give a crap about the populations that live in that area. And the population that lives in that area is mostly poor people without access to many services. And I know this because I know people that went to Machu Picchu, and they told me that. They told me that the people were nice, but they were extremely poor. And you had the indigenous people selling arts and crafts to tourists and all of that, but they were only doing that not because it's a way of gaining some money, extra money. They were doing that to survive. They don't care about the people that live there. And the same happens here. Okay, people like to go to the beaches beaches in Algarve, and they love to take their strolls in Lisbon and watch them, see the monuments and all of that, but they don't give a crap about the people that live there. And cities and beaches, there are places where you as a citizen, you have a right to live in, and you have a right to use. Look, the most annoying experience that I have had in the latest years was last year. I was at the beach, and then a group of tourists. I wasn't going to mention the nationality, but I am going to mention the nationality. Americans. They decided to park their circus near me. And these are people that are complete social animals. I was just sitting there with my family, minding my own business, and then suddenly I could not even hear the bloody sea. They had absolutely no notion of what they were doing. And here in Portugal, going to the beach at the weekend, it's a social event, okay? It's a normal thing. Dads and moms, they pack up the kids and some food in the car. They drive to the beach, okay? They put on the the umbrellas, okay, and the towels, and they go and play in the sea, and they sit and they relax. They maybe eat a sandwich, or they go to the restaurant and they go to eat. Okay, these are things that we do. And my issue here is not with the tourists coming. It's the quantity of tourists coming. And when people start to say, oh, you're going to make them pay an extra tax and this will drive tourists away and whatever, look, I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap about that. This is my country. I'm entitled to be in my space and to be left alone. Yes, the witch got. Yes. The tourists have no. Yes. This. Look, and let me be clear. I have met tourists that are absolutely lovely people, okay? That don't bother anyone. And I have no issues with being at the beach and a group of tourists arrive. They do what I am doing. They put on down their towels. They go to the water. They they do whatever they want. But look, these people. This is some people talk about. Some Americans have been complaining that Portugal no longer receives them as they with so much warmth and whatever. And the only thing I have to tell you is this: the Americans has nothing to do, and this was pre-Trump. The Americans became annoying. Annoying. They come into a place, they are loud, they have no respect for people, they always assume that you are going to speak English, and a lot of people, like me, just saying no English. And I know for a fact that there are some businesses that are denying service to the Americans. I have cousins in the business, okay? I have family and friends in the business. I still have a brother in the system, in the business, and what they are opting up to is doing this. If you have a restaurant and you have a, pardon me, if you have a restaurant, okay, a nice place where you want people to sit down and have their meals and spend their money, if you have those restaurants, they are opting to say to those types of tourists, to say things like, for example, oh, sorry, we are all booked. Okay, we are all booked. Sorry, we have some reservations. Oh, but you have empty places. What? Yes, they are empty now, but they are already reserved for someone else. You want to know why? Because I know for a fact of a restaurant where one of my cousins worked, that the man was losing money because some Americans have discovered that his restaurant was very famous for some bloody TikToker that loved the meals, and then they would all pour into the bloody restaurant, make a hell of a noise, and bother people that had been going to that restaurant for decades. Because I'm going to tell you this also. British, the type of British tourist that comes here to Portugal, it's usually more family oriented. You know, families come here to spend their time in the sun. Some even have houses here, all good. But these are people that have learned that if you are noisy and try to annoy the Portuguese, they will completely ignore you. This is what we do. So they learn. And I'm not going to tell you everyone is perfect. Okay, you will find there will be one loud German or one loud Dutch or even Portuguese tourists, because we are also saying, okay. But the issue with the Americans is this: they do not learn, and they have gotten into problems with the police because they don't listen. Portuguese police is very polite. Okay, they usually let you do your own thing as long as you are not loud, as long as you keep it low. And of course, we have bad places. Okay, if you go to the region of Bairro Alto in Lisbon, that thing is a hellhole. Okay, it's drunks and dumb people and whatever. But in these areas, they want families to vacation there. They don't want loud people. And I'll tell, and if any American is listening to me and you are offended, well, I'm sorry, don't be a loud bastard. And then there is the other side of over tourism, which is it's a stress over the services, okay? And it's also a stress over housing. Housing has been increasing a lot in these regions. So much so that the government has been taking now, finally, they are taking measures to reduce the price of housing inside of the town, because the heart of the cities, it was being completely emptied out of people, because people could not afford to live there. All turned into housing for tourists and whatever. There are a lot of things coming in, okay? There's a lot of things about there is not so much as illegal lodging, that does not exist that much, but there are a lot of measures coming in, and these taxes are needed. These taxes are needed. And to tell you the truth also, the only tourists that have been talking about this are the American tourists. Most of the tourists that have been complaining about the taxes and all of that, they have been they are the ones that have been complaining about it. Because if you ask a Japanese tourist or a Chinese tourist, we also have a lot of them, they would say, well, it's fair. I heard one Chinese tourist say that. Well, it's fair. If we are using the infrastructure, we should pay a bit more to contribute to keep this place as it is. This is the mentality that these people have. But like I told you, me, little old me with my family at the beach, and those bastards arrived, and I had no peace anymore. You wanna know what I did? No, I picked up my stuff and I went away. I went to the restaurant to have myself a cold one and start an early lunch because I had no patience for these people. But I want you to understand this. I want you to understand that when people here in Portugal talk about taxes on tourism and reducing Airbnbs and all of that, it has to do with the people because these are our cities, these are our towns, these are our beaches, and you are always welcome to come here to eat some good food, to swim in our sea, okay, to see our monuments. Portugal has so much. Look, this is a country that has so much to see that most of the times when I'm on my vacations, I just vacation here because that's I can go to the beach, I can go to the mountains in the center of the country. I have museums, I have castles, I have libraries, I have so much thing many things to see. And we are welcome people, okay? We don't bother people. If you are doing your thing, you are polite. No one is going to bother you, okay? No one, and it's a relatively safe place to be. But please, no over tourism. Let me just catch up. The witchy got my sister and her family visit Portugal and loved it. They stayed at a cottage singing. They love the food and cocktails. Yes, yes, plenty of places like that here. In Edinburgh, yes, Viper Scott. He lost the local clientele. His business relies on outside tourism time. Yes. Person impersonators. Some Americans still have an inflated sense of entitlement. Every country has idiots, but America seems to have the most. Yes, yes. It's putting your eggs, Billy, in one basket at the expense of your bread and butter. Exactly, Billy Kershaw. Exactly. I could have not said it better. Yes. And this is why the the tourism business here, they have been complaining precisely because of that. It's the same as Cornwall. All the which you got, all the wealthy buying second homes, and the locals can't afford them. Yes, this has been happening here, right here in southern Portugal, in the region of Melilhos and Grândola, here in the southern coast. And that is one of the reasons why I don't go to one of my favorite beaches in that area, because it became very famous. A lot of rich people, for example, Pierre Laboutin, the French guy, he has a house there. John Malkovich, he has a house there. A lot of British citizens, artists, and all that, they have houses there, and that has risen the prices of the houses so much that the region was already expensive because it has a casino, and all of that, and now it's in such a way that people simply don't live there. Okay, they either live in the city in Grândola, which is the main city in the region, or inland because it's simply too expensive. Yes, Viper Scott, the islands and the coastal towns. Yes. No, we this is something that we all collectively have to address, and I mean that. Uh, this is something that also affects me personally. Okay, because whenever summertime, whenever summertime comes, and I live near the beach, whenever summertime comes, issues start to appear. issues at the supermarket, issues at the pharmacy, all of that. Overcrowding, public transportation, and but remember this government, they were elected with the specific mandate to do something about it. So let's see if they do something about it. If they don't, we are going to kick them out because it's called democracy. And thank God for that. Now, let's watch another video.
A Russian drone struck a residential apartment block in Romania, causing a fire on its roof. The building was evacuated and 2 people sustained minor injuries. The drone was detected by radars and flew in Romanian airspace for around 4 minutes. It had been part of an overnight attack on Ukraine prior to crashing down.
Galați, acum problema este că e un incident destul de grav care a avut, din păcate, ca efect căderea de un bloc de locuințe cu rănirea locatarilor din apartamentul respectiv.
The incident has sparked strong criticism from leaders across Europe, including European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Also, NATO condemned Russia and said the alliance would strengthen its defenses against all threats.
Ministerul Apărării Naționale menține permanent legătura cu aliații din NATO pentru monitorizarea situației pe flancul estic al NATO. Vom comunica transparent toate concluziile investigațiilor imediat ce acestea vor fi disponibile. Vă mulțumesc!
An investigation is currently ongoing at the scene and the perimeter has been secured, although residents have not yet been allowed to return home.
All right. So, this is what happened. First of all, let me just say this before we continue. All of these videos, the oldest one is from Friday, okay? So this is, the videos are recent. Now, in this phase, they are still investigating the drone. I now know that they have determined that it's a Russian drone that instead of flying back home, continued to fly and hit a building in that border town. Now, is this serious? Extremely serious. But does this justify doing something about it? Yes, it does. This is why, going back to the beginning of the stream, when I told you that we should have boots on the ground in Ukraine. Viper Scott, I have another video to show, okay? Let me just talk a bit about the event, and then we are going to progress, okay? I even have an interview with the Romanian Prime Minister, okay? Let me just end my reasoning. Sorry, my rant. This is why, like I was telling you in the beginning of the stream, I am one of those that defends that we should have boots on the ground. Okay? This is one of the reasons why and even if we create, for example, a non-flight zone in the areas of Ukraine near the European border, the European countries, other European countries' border, like Romania, like Poland, like the Baltic states, whatever, we need to have a non-flight zone. And if Russia doesn't like it, well, F them. Who cares? Now, I know that the defenses of NATO, they detected the drone. I still don't know, and I don't want to talk about this, if they actually hit it and it fell down and hit the balcony of the building. No person was killed, okay? No one died. Or if the drone purposely hit the building. If the drone purposely hit the building, well, that is the usual tactic that the Russian army uses. but it probably did not had how will you say, pardon me, but it probably did not had an explosive charge, or it had a minor explosive charge, because the consequences were not that harsh. Yes, person impersonator. The forces in Transnistria. But I also know that the Russians recently reduced the number of soldiers that they had in Transnistria. I'm sorry, folks. Well, this way you see I'm not AI. Now, I think we should all ponder very seriously in creating this non-flight zone. And Ukraine has been calling out for this non-flight zone for ages, and I think they are right. Because, and if Russia, 50 kilograms charge, yes, yeah, it's more normal. But because if Russian says, no, you cannot do this and that and what, and now we can use this event, for example, and tell him, look, did you see how your drone hit the building in Romania? We cannot allow this. So we are going to create this non-flight zone, and your little drones and your little airplanes, they are not going to hit anything in Western Ukraine. Focus your little bombings to the line of attack and act properly. Okay, this is a very simplistic way of saying it, okay? But it's a justification that Europe can use. And I've heard, even here in the parliament, they were talking about using that justification. Now, we are going to watch now another video so that you can see how this was progressing here in Europe, okay? Let's watch.
2 people have been injured after a Russian drone carrying explosives crashed in the eastern city of Galati in Romania, sparking a fire on the roof of a residential apartment block, according to Bucharest. Romania has summoned the Russian ambassador to the headquarters of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and have told Russia that they are not welcome anymore in Romania.
Față de această situație, Consulul General al Federației Ruse la Constanța a fost declarat persoană non grata și Consulatul General al Rusiei, al Federației Ruse la Constanța se va închide.
Romanian Defense Minister Radu Miruța said that the drone was detected by radars and flew in Romanian airspace for around 4 minutes. The explosives on board the drone detonated when it hit the building, Miruța added. The incident has sparked strong criticism from leaders across Europe.
In der Drohnenvorgang in Rumänien die russische Entschlossenheit sieht, diesen Krieg weiter zu eskalieren. Deutschland steht natürlich fest an der Seite der NATO-Verbündeten, zu denen Rumänien gehört.
EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen also said Russia had crossed yet another line. The drone had been involved in the bombing of infrastructure in Ukraine before crashing in Galati, authorities said. An investigation is currently ongoing at the scene.
Now, folks, I'm trying to show you a time frame of how things evolved. You had the crash. These were the first responses to the event. And like I told you, they are trying to keep things mild, so to speak. They are not trying to exacerbate the results, because they want to create a precedent out of this. They want to create this non-flight zone. This has been ongoing, this discussion in the EU Parliament. And this might be a pivotal event that allows Europe to do that. And NATO, they can say, look, you are invading our airspace, your war is extending to the border regions of Ukraine, and this cannot be. So we are going to defend our citizens, we are going to defend our NATO allies, and you are going to have a non-flight zone in this area. And just this little saying can justify, for example, NATO jets or NATO drones or whatever to shut down Russian drones and Russian missiles and whatever, okay? Because if Russia wants to play this little game, and they are playing this little game, we can also play it. And please remember, okay, this is not my opinion. This is not just my opinion. I agree with it, but this is not just my opinion. These are things that we have been listening to politicians and experts saying here, right here on our TV screens, okay? Good. Now we are going to watch another video, which is the first, let's call it the first public, the public position of the EU around this entire event. Let's watch. Oops, sorry.
Russian drone incursions into EU airspace are not mistakes, they are provocations, Polish Under-Secretary of State for Trade Michal Baranovsky told Euronews. A Russian drone hit a residential building in NATO member Romania last night, injuring 2 people. It was part of an overnight attack on Ukraine.
It's extremely serious. It's really hard to overstate how much of an escalation this is. This is another drone attack. Let's remember that now people have been injured in Romania. In September, about 20 drones have crossed into Polish space. These are not mistakes. These are provocations.
European Commission's President Ursula von der Leyen said Russia's war of aggression has crossed yet another line. She stressed the EU will keep strengthening its security and deterrence, especially on the eastern border.
We have very clear situation who is the aggressor here. It's of course up to Romanian government to decide whether or not activate Article 4 of NATO that allows for us to have a consultation.
Dozens of drone incursions were detected in Romania since Russia's 2022 full-scale invasion of Ukraine, but it was the first time one hit a residential building.
All right. They are provoking us, okay? They are trying to have Europe. How can I say this? You know when a bully is trying to provoke you, so that you try to attack the bully, and you lose your footing, and the bully is able to take advantage of you. Okay. Sorry. Yes, Viper Scott. Yes, that happened. I don't think it was that long ago. Yes, but a rocket, it landed in the farm in Poland. Yes, that's true. Now, but you know when, going back to my rant, okay, sorry. You know when someone is trying to provoke you to have an emotional reaction and to commit a mistake? This is exactly what Russia is trying to do. But if you have people that do what I was telling you just now, use this as an excuse to boost the defense in western Ukraine. We are just defending our borders. Okay, and this can progress, for example, to you are clearly unable to limit your action to your military actions in Ukraine, so we are going to have to protect these areas and not allow you to intervene. Do you understand my reasoning? Because you have to understand this. The nuclear peril is real. Putin might be crazy enough to activate a tactical nuke in Ukraine. And we want to avoid that. of course. Everyone wants to avoid that, even the Russians. And even in the case of Russia, I don't know if Putin tries to do that, if he's not going to fall from a balcony or something like that. So this pressure, it's also good for us to keep this pressure on Russia, because this will also cause them to make mistakes. And after we finish our little talk now, we are going to watch this video, and this is an interview to the, I think I said the Prime Minister, but it's not the Prime Minister. It's the Romanian Foreign Minister. We are going to see the reaction of Romania to this. And we need you. We talked about this in my live stream yesterday. Okay? I will watch it, which you got. I'm sorry. Sometimes your live streams they are either when I'm working or when I arrive at home and I'm a bit tired. Sorry. I will try to watch some more live streams of yours, because I like your live streams. They are interesting. Yes, but this as you are saying here, right here now in the comments, in the chat, the nuclear threat. Yes, it's real. We must not kid ourselves, okay? But as I was saying, we need to use stepping stones to deal with this situation in Russia for two reasons. Number one, we are still in the process of rearming ourselves. And make no mistake, when Europe is fully rearmed and operational, so to speak, the Russians will hesitate in doing this little joke again. In fact, I think what Russia right now wants is a way out of this war. But this is just my personal opinion, so I will limit myself to that. But continuing on this subject, now let's watch the interview with the Romanian foreign minister, which is very important, okay? Because this way you will be able to see a bit more of what I'm talking about here, okay? Let's watch.
Mistake or a provocation?
The Russian incursion is due to the unprovoked attack that Russia is ongoing against Ukraine. It was part of a drone attack against Ukrainian civilian and military infrastructure, unprovoked, and the illegal war that Russia is having at our border. We do have the longest border with the war, and we do consider it the full responsibility of the Russian Federation that our civilians were put at risk. And two Romanians required medical attention. It's a residential building that needed to be evacuated as a consequence of the drone. We do have the final confirmation from the teams on the ground that the drone is a Russian drone and it was carrying explosive. We do reaffirm our solidarity with Ukraine. The president has been very clear on the fact that we are aware and clear on the fact that supporting the resilience and the security is also a factor of support for our own security and for the allied space.
Minister, while I have you, the news has come in recently over the last few hours that there will be a closure of the consulate in Constanta, as well as the expulsion of the Russian consul. Why Constanta, and what reaction do you expect from Moscow regarding this news?
Yes. We just had the National Security Council, and we have decided to close the Russian consulate in Constanța and declare persona non grata the General Counsel. He will have 72 hours to leave Romanian territory. We consider this a clear message to Russia that it is unacceptable and that the security and safety of our citizens is our prime concern.
And Minister, while I have you, how do you think that Russia will respond to this?
We have summoned the Russian ambassador to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs today. We do believe Russia will continue to do what Russia is doing, which is to try to spread lies across our societies, but that is as unacceptable as the war itself.
And Minister, we've seen a spate of drone incursions rattle the Baltics over recent weeks. We've also heard chatter and very public statements from politicians regarding invoking and triggering NATO's Article 4. What is the holdup? Why would this not be triggered now?
We already have a set plan for consultations within NATO. It's a meeting that Romania has requested for a while on maritime security. And of course, now it will also be focused on the Danube and the eastern flank. And we do have clarity on the capabilities that are needed on the eastern flank. Sakur has issued his decision in terms of the need that together among allies, we increase the deterrence and defense here on the eastern flank.
We also saw a statement come in early Friday morning from the US ambassador to the EU, Matthew Whitaker, stating that Washington stands in support of Romania. However, he did not attribute these drones to Russia. Do you expect full unity from the NATO military alliance when it comes to condemning Russia?
Well, attribution is our responsibility, and we have done that clearly. And we do expect solidarity among allies. We thank Ambassador Matthew Whitaker. Actually, Ambassador Matthew Whitaker has been in Romania. He knows our army and defense very well. And we do have a close diplomatic relationship, and we're grateful for his public stance.
What we've also seen from these drone incursions are those politicians, the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen herself, stating that this requires a firm response. But are these responses firm enough? This recent incursion in Romania seems to be another testament that perhaps it is not.
We have seen a show of support that is very important, because it is always important to reaffirm that the security of one is the security of all. And in terms of next steps, as I have said, we have had this clear decision at the diplomatic level on Romania's side to close the consulate, but we need to continue also in terms of common pressure. I have spoken with Kaja Kallas in the morning in terms of accelerating the pace for the 21st package of sanctions, and we see there a clear support, and we have seen clear statements from leaders in Europe, but also outside of the European Union. I've just had conversations with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with across different strategic partners, and we will continue to do so. We will move this conversation at the Security Council of United Nations, and we do have a pre-planned consultation among allies as well.
And what do you want in the 21st package of sanctions against Russia regarding these drones?
We do consider the 21st package of sanctions as an instrument to put pressure, because we do think security of Romania and the security of Europeans is best served by making sure we do reach an end at the war at the border.
But have you asked for a specific component as part of this package to attack or be more aggressive on these drones?
We do have specific requests in terms of sanction packages, and we are working in terms of attribution also for sanctions that will target types of hybrid interferences from Russia, also at the cybersecurity level. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister.
Okay, now, give me just a minute, please. No. I was writing in the chat little sentences, because I think it's very important for us to listen to the words. See how she began that this was an unprovoked war against Ukraine. This was the attack was unprovoked, asserting their position. Then she passes on. We confirmed that this was a Russian drone, so okay, clearing up all of the doubts. And then she advances and says, I even wrote it down here, increase the deterrence in the eastern flank. What does this mean? This means to increase the defense of NATO in the eastern flank and creating that no-flight zone. They are going to use this as a justification, okay? I'm certain of it. And let me just, I'm sorry. Sorry, technical difficulties. Now, folks, as I was saying, this is very important for us to look at this as a building. The building that you want to create, to build, pardon the wording, the building that you want to create, it's a building that has to have a strong infrastructure. So they are saying this war is intervened. This is a war between Ukraine and Russia, but we support Ukraine because this is an illegal war. And Russia says, if you intervene here, if you put boots on the ground, I have an excuse to use the nuclear weapon. This is basically what Russia has been doing all of this time. We might not like it, but this is exactly what has been happening. And there are a lot of European volunteers. There are Portuguese volunteers. There are British volunteers fighting side by side with the Ukrainian soldiers. But volunteers can only go so far. Now, what they are doing in the West, in NATO, right now, and keep the United States out of this, because the United States are not doing anything. If you tell me about the American generals that are in Europe, that are day to day with their soldiers, that are defending that still understand the importance of the defense in Europe, if you are talking about those people, I would listen to them. But the American government, the American war minister, whatever the fuck he is, that drunk idiot, don't count them into this conversation. Okay? Trump will try to deter us from doing anything that might hurt his little buddy Putin. And this is the sad truth. Now, they are going to use this as an excuse. We need to reinforce our eastern flank. What does this mean? This means, like I was telling you, I'm going to repeat it again. Your drones are invading our airspace. You are illegally destroying things in our nations. You have to stop this, okay? So, since we cannot trust you in not doing this again, we are going to increase and boost our defenses in this area, and then they are going to progress from there to the non-flight zone and all of that. And that will create more and more pressure over Russia, okay? Just like the military drills. If you don't know this, currently, and I think I might have a video here. Yes, I do. NATO was just recently, this video is from the 29th of May, NATO was recently engaging in military exercises in the Finnish border. So when you look at Russia, when you look at the geopolitical situation, you have to look at this entirely. You have to look from Finland to the Baltics, to Poland and Central Europe, and to Romania. And to a degree, to Turkey, because remember, Turkey are part of NATO. And what you need to understand here is that this is a global chess game. And the Russians, they are in, and I have said this on and on again, because I happen to like chess. I should play more chess to relax. But the Russians are in what we call a Zugzwang position. A Zugzwang position is a situation in which whatever move you do in the board, you will end up losing the game. Do you understand? You know, the objective of chess is to kill the king, so to speak. And the Russians now, they are in a position in which they are in precisely in that position. And Putin is moving his little pieces across the board. He has his little puppet, his little American leather boy, Mr. Trump. Okay, he has him. And he has all of these people, and he has a lot of politicians that are paid off in Europe. But the money now is running out. The money Putin had, it's running out. Okay, his influence and the countermeasures that Europe has been using is running out, and he's finding himself in a situation where he's going to have to submit to all of this pressure. But like I told you, I'm also a bit fearful that he might use that bloody tactical nuke, and then we are going. If that happens, we are we are going to be in World War III completely. No doubts about it. But I'm going to tell you this. When you look at this situation, we have to look at it. Sorry, like if you were hovering over Europe and you were watching this. You are watching Finland up here, the Baltics, okay? And then you have the Central Europe, and you have Turkey and Romania here. You have this entire border. And Putin is looking at this, and he's trying to recreate his mythical Soviet Union. And he's trying to see where he can get something from. Person impersonator, let me just read your comment. American Department of War knows about as much as geopolitics as I know about quantum physics, but at least I don't pretend to be a physicist. Well, correct. But now, this is a real fear, but we have to make enough pressure on Russia to, number one, weaken them, number two, weaken their command chain, and number three, which is most important, make them be tired of war. And they have already lost, according to some numbers, 1,002,000 soldiers, according to others, 500,000 soldiers. I would say the truth is a bit in the middle. Hello, El, welcome. And all of this situation, all of these moves that sometimes people say the EU is not doing nothing, they are just talking. Words matter. From now on, we now have, and this drone attack has caused one thing. This has given us the excuse to further fight for that non-flight zone. And that non-flight zone will be very important. Like I was telling you from my early rant, okay, it's going to be very important to create this situation in which we will limit the intervention of the Russians in western Ukraine. This will also allow us to pour in more resources into Ukraine, because if the Russians cannot access the western part of Ukraine, they cannot bomb, so to speak, or try to bomb the resources that we are sending into Ukraine. So it will make it very easy. So we are doing what we will be doing, what Putin has been doing with Belarus. But I am going to talk about Belarus, okay? I'm going to talk about it. Now, I want you to watch this video because this is also important. And this is probably the last video we are going to watch today, okay? But this has to do precisely with that question that I was telling you about the NATO exercise at the Finnish-Russian border. Let's watch this one.
NATO is conducting military exercises just 30 kilometres from the Finnish-Russian border amid renewed drone incursions within NATO territory. On Friday morning, at least 2 people in the Romanian town of Galati were injured by a drone as Russia attacked Ukrainian infrastructure near the border. It's the most dangerous incident out of several recent encroachments into NATO territory. Baltic countries have reported Russia has hijacked Ukrainian drones, sending them into Baltic and other state territories. Lithuania was forced to close its airspace on a number of occasions, causing major disruption. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has vowed to defend every inch of NATO territory, with the US ambassador describing the violation into Romania as reckless. So while traditional capabilities like battle tanks, Chinook helicopters, armed forces are still vital to protect Europe's eastern flank, particularly as a deterrent against any Russian invasion, exponential growth and investment into counter-drone systems and surveillance are more vital at this moment with ongoing Russian aggression and drone incursions.
I think the big thing there, I think, is having this, kind of autonomous kill web of these different drones and things, all these unmanned capabilities. So one, we're preserving that power. So when we do get attacked, the counterattack that comes from the allies, from NATO, that we have all those humans still able, to go to the fight.
Finland retained conscription into the army for young males even after the Cold War ended. Given its 1,350-kilometre border with Russia, it's always been on guard. As the Finns say, the threat from the Kremlin never went away. Having joined NATO in response to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Finland says along with allies it's collectively learning from the Ukraine war, including advancements in drone and anti-drone technology.
We have done that alone centuries, but now we are not alone and we have allies, and as we are learning from each other and in developing our interoperability capabilities, then it's really important to have our allies and exercise with them. And we don't have only our conscripts, but we also have our reservists, because a reservist is the backbone of the Finnish army. And we are learning and we are adjusting our ways to think, and we're looking really closely how the war is developing as it has changed. How much it changed the battlefield, that's a soldier's task.
Around 10,000 soldiers from 7 allied countries, including the US, UK, France, as well as the Finnish army conscripts, are taking part in the Northern Star and Sword 26 exercises. Shona Murray, Euronews, Finland.
Okay. First of all, hi Al. I hope you are all right, and let's live one day at a time. Okay? Now, I was going to show you some more videos, but folks, I have just now looked at my clock, and it's 7:30. It's getting to be a bit late. I'm going to have to wrap up this in a minute. But let's continue and let's finish the reason. Notice how interesting it is that that drone magically appears in Romania while they know they are making their military drills in the Finnish border. Notice how interesting this is. So this is why I was telling you just now, when I used that analogy, that this is a chess game. And it's irritating sometimes to us, the public, that want to see immediate results. But the truth is, what we can do and what we should do right now is use these events to pressure Russia even more. And when people say sanctions don't work, yes, they work. Sanctions do work if they are implemented. And you know that, for example, the United States has lifted a lot of the sanctions that they had. But the problem here is that Europe has not. And regardless of the control that Mr. Putin has over Donald Trump, his little puppet Trump was not able to extend that banning of sanctions to Europe, to Canada, and to other countries. All right? And this is why I tell people that we need to look at this. I was telling this in the beginning of rant. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. I'm a bit tired, but stepping stones. This will be the ideal excuse to discuss the non-flight zone, and I will be listening in to the European Parliament channel. You can also watch it free here in YouTube, and the European Commission, because I am sure they are going to be talking about that. Okay? And now that we are reaching the end of my chat, let me just say this. L, In the beginning of this stream, I talked about what was happening and what is my position. My position is that I don't respect police. I don't like them, and I think there is a clear border and a clear difference between making a joke and harassing someone. I don't know if the person in question, if he watched the video, if he's watching the stream, if he listened to what I said, but my position is as simple as this. In the EU, it's illegal to use your image to create any kind of AI video or AI mockery video unless you authorize it. And my position is as simple as this, and I hope this is clear to whoever is listening to me. You do that, I will tell you to take it down. You don't take it down, I will report you. But I will not just report you to YouTube. Yes. Yes. L. Okay? Yes. But what I have to say, thank you, Duichiga. What I have to say is this. I told him, that person better know this. I will not just report him to YouTube. That if he doesn't know, he should know, is legally responsible and legally accountable to report all of these incidents to the EU authorities and to the EU police, so to speak. I will also take a screenshot, do whatever I have to do, send it to the police here. It's just a little online tick, and they will take care of my complaint. And I will also say this, the United Kingdom and Portugal have extradition agreements and legal and judicial agreements that allow for a citizen that has committed a crime in either countries, whatever their nationality is, to be legally responsible and prosecuted in whatever countries it is. This is the reason why some British fans have found themselves impeded of entering in Portugal because of the shit that they did in football matches here. This is one of the reasons. Or why Portuguese fans that or Portuguese citizens that have committed crimes in the United Kingdom have found themselves banned from entering the country. We have legality, we have laws. And people need to understand that if you want to be a roaster, then I would suggest you, for example, to go and watch a video by Don Rickles. You might not like his type of humor, but that person, he knows how to make people laugh. And he said the most outrageous things, and he never offended anyone. You want to learn how things are done, go and do that. But to try and base your entire persona, your entire identity in mocking other people's, and then using that to attack mods that were very specific in the rules of the chat, that told you, please don't do this. I myself did that. I did it. I told you, and you will remember this. You even said in your little video that you have lost all respect for me. Well, whatever. I told you, don't say that. People get offended. Don't do that. And you continue to do it. And then you do even worse, and you start to harass people like Viper Scott and Al. People that I have never seen them having an attitude, attacking anyone in that way. Viper Scott that has been, look, there's a reason why he is the mod right here in my chat. Okay, there's a reason why Viper Scott is a moderator here, because he when we are being I'm sorry for going on with this, but I have to say this. When I'm moderating a chat, I act as the person, the YouTuber that is making the channel. I act how they want me to act. When I'm moderating for all shots, it's in a way. When I'm moderating to Regan Lead, it's in another way. When I'm moderating Daily Blase, it's in another way. When I'm moderating in other channels under other alias, okay, because I also have friends that have channels in German, in French, and in Portuguese, to be more specific. I do what they tell me. And if they tell me this, people need to be civil, you have to stop fights, I don't want people fighting in my chat, I do it. And Viper Scott is saying right here, I did that as well. Yes, he did that as well. We all did it. And you continue to escalate, 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 and escalate. And I will tell you just this, because I want to conclude this, and I want to tell you this, that we need to keep our emotions in check and take normal decisions and act normally with other people. And if a person doesn't want to be joked with, you don't joke. You don't do that shit. And besides, that is not joking, that is not mocking, and that is definitely not roasting. If you, and I will repeat this again, you want to know the concept of roasting someone, go and watch Don Rickles video. Go and watch Rodney Dangerfield video. These are people that in the mean, okay, that were able to roast someone. They roasted presidents. They roasted important people. They made everyone laugh. That's a precious thing. Limit your roasting to public figures, for example. But to tell you the truth, my position is this: do what, go on with your little life, but don't you come to attack me or L or Viper Scott or the Witchy God. You are here in the chat, okay, or Billy or whatever. You stop that. This is my position, and this is all I will tell you. You want to watch my videos? Well, you can watch them, but please, please keep me out of your little shit and of your little crap. And this is all I have to say. And I want to say this also to L. L, please take care of yourself. Don't let these things bring you down. I know I'm just this anonymous voice here on online. I know all of that. But when we are talking with someone, we are talking to their soul. We are talking directly with each other. And I have had friends online that we have only met online, on video calls, all of that, and they are still my friends. We still talk with each other, we still support each other. And I want you to know this, okay? And it's very important for you to know this. Whoever you are, however you live, it is your right to live your life. This is very important. And I have said this in other streams, I will say it again. This is no shame. I myself was in dark places, especially after my dad died. Life is not easy for anyone. Everyone has their dark times, everyone has their issues, and in the end, you want to know what made me move? The fact that I was still alive. I'm living. I'm here. I'm talking with you. I'm making this channel. I'm talking about politics. I'm trying to help people to think. I'm not. I'm not gaining. Uh, I'm not gaining a cent for this, and I don't want to gain a cent in this channel. To be honest, I have decided this. I think I'm. I think this is going to be a permanent thing. I'm going to keep this channel non-monetized. Hello, Contakev. Welcome. Thank you. Because I want to keep this channel as a way of talking about things that other channels cannot talk about. And even if YouTube sometimes shadow bans my videos because I talk about things like Gaza, like this entire situation with Ukraine, like transgender issues. You know, I look at transgender issues as non-issues. I look at gay issues as non-issues. I look at racism as a stupidity and a non-issue. Because you want to know why? Because I think it's useless to meddle into other people's business. And I want to use this channel to talk about these things. Because I don't know, maybe someone is in a bad day. Someone has been sorry, because he was different. All of that. Okay. I want someone to listen to this weird soprano like white dude telling him or her that it's all right, that you matter, and that don't give a crap about other people. Look, I've told you this, okay? When I was a kid at school, I was constantly harassed because I refused to deny who I was. If I need another mod, you will be the one. Yeah. Okay? I was constantly harassed, and I had to develop things. Of course, I had people that helped me, that supported me. I had my parents. Okay, I had my grandpa. I had a lot of people that supported me, but it was hard. It was hard. But you want to know what I learned from all of that? I learned a lot of things. I learned that racism is stupid, that it makes no sense. I learned that change is inevitable. I learned that science helps us to be better people because it brings down all of those illusions that we had. And it helped me also to meet a lot of good people. And as Billy is saying here, live chat on channels, it's what we crave. Yes. Yes. I have talked with a lot of people, and to them sometimes the most important part of a stream is the ability to talk with other people live. Because some people have really lonely lives. Or sometimes they don't have lonely lives. They are surrounded by dozens of people, and yet they are alone. I'm ranting again, okay? But the Portuguese poet Fernando Pessoa, I would advise you to read things about him. A wonderful man, a wonderful crazy man that spent his entire life. He wasn't an important person, okay? He was a person that just thought about the world, and he used to say many times that he found himself completely alone in the middle of a crowd. Do you understand this? Completely alone in the middle of a crowd. He was also the man that said, am I the only lunatic in a world of sane people, or the only sane people in the world of lunatics? It's this disenfranchisement. Sorry. If I missed the words, I'm sorry, but you know, English is not my first language. It's this experience. Yes, countercurve, yeah. It's this experience of making a connection, of making a friend, like Viper Scott one here is saying, like Alistair here is saying. making a friend of someone you chat with. It's this experience that a lot of people crave. Look, we don't know how people are, we don't know their situation, we don't know if they're alone in a house grieving, or if they're alone in a house without any family. And look, some people have the ability to deal with it. You know, with me, sometimes when I'm feeling a bit more caustic, so to speak, more ironic, more sarcastic, I just go into the woods. Yes, person impersonate, alienation. Thank you very much. Thank you for correcting me. Please correct me in the chat, okay? I just go into the woods, you know. I just take my notepad. I go. The witchy god is still here, okay? I talk with the gods, like I was taught. Put my hand against the tree and feel the world. Feel the wind. Feel all that. Look, that is my escape. Other people, I don't know, they play the guitar. Other people go down to the pub and have a pint with other people around. All is valid. But what I want you to know about this channel is this. You are free to speak your opinions here. The only limits are civility. If anyone comes here to defend these ideas of divide and conquer, like someone counter Kev, yes, divide and conquer. If someone comes with divide and conquer mentalities here, you are not my friend. I'm sorry, you are not. You might have ideas that are completely different from mine. But if you come here with an open mind and watch this weird guy ranting, you are more than welcome. All right? Now, folks, this stream, let me just see if I don't mess this up. Folks, this stream has gone for a long time. I need to go have my dinner, and especially I need to give my cat her dinner. She's been sitting here near me, waiting for me to end my little rant. Sometimes she pricks up her ears to see if I'm still here and do whatever. And I'm going to end this and say this. All of you that are here in the chat, you can call me your friend. All right? I am your friend. I am your friend because we talk, because we listen to each other, and because sometimes we have our issues and our crises, like we just had. All right? So never feel alone. Now, just to conclude this, folks, today and tomorrow I'm going to record some more videos. I'm going to try to make some more contents. It's been a bit hard because it's been very hot, and the work has been falling over my face, so to speak. And the witchy god, yes, thank you. And the witchy god, I would answer like the person that taught me paganism would tell me, that would say this: all Father's blessings upon you. Okay, this is how we do it. Person impersonator, thank you so much also for coming here. Folks, I would like to thank you all for coming. I'm going to end the stream. Okay, if I'm going to try to start doing the streams always at this time, 5:30 Saturday, because it's more or less an empty area where I can squeeze in my stream. Okay, now thank you all for coming, and have a great weekend.